what's it? Try not to break it too much. Something unexpected happens, and pretty much most of Foundation and Empire is the Foundation dealing with this thing that wasn't predicted to happen because of a random anomaly. So the entire, as I say, the entirety of Foundation and Empire is it's a story, one crisis, and then because Second Foundation, the third book in the trilogy, the Foundation realizes that somebody is behind the scenes pulling the strings, and so the entirety of Second Foundation is them assuming that they're not the only Foundation. There's actually two. Their job is technology, but there's somebody, there's the political entity behind the scenes pulling the strings, making sure that the original predictions are happening. Now, we got an idea of that in the first season of Foundation. It looks like some people didn't make it, but their job is to create a second Foundation. That's something you didn't know reading the books all the way through Foundation and Empire. You didn't know that actually Harry Seldon had set up two Foundations. And so when you get to the second Foundation, you're really following when you read the books, you're following the realization that something else is happening. And obviously the people of the Foundation are a little resentful that they're not controlling their own destiny. So they spend the entirety of Second Foundation looking for this organisation that's working behind the scenes to keep everything on track. I'm going to have to turn off cruise control while we do this. So as I'm trying to say, you've got Foundation and Empire is a complete story, and Second Foundation is a complete story. It's the search for it's the Foundation's search for what they call the Second Foundation. But Foundation and Empire, or Foundation, the first book, is just a series of short stories detailing the critical events in the formation of or the collapse of the Empire and the formation of the Foundation to build the new Empire. And that doesn't work well for TV because people like to watch a TV series and they invest in the characters in the show. Well, if you run season 1 and now for season 2, in theory, you need a whole new set of characters because the old ones are all done with. They're dead 40, 50, 60 years ago. So, now you're invested in a TV show where nobody you knew in the first season should be there for the second. And again for potentially the third, unless even then the critical points in the Foundation, you could possibly do them as one season and just race through it, but again at the end of that you're dumping most of your actors for the big story of Foundation and Empire. Be interesting to see how they get around that. I mean, you can, because you can introduce the kids in the current story arc and then have them as adults for the next crisis and introduce their kids as part of that crisis so that their kids are then dealing with the third crisis, etc. Kind of getting most of this. I'm not too worried now about the bits that maybe I'm missing. It's not an easy field to plot because of the angle it's at. I could have picked a different primary course. For the main GPS line, but 0180 tends to work reasonably well. It's just you've got the bottleneck on the far side of the field, and then these little bulges out the side, which it's not really that easy to completely cover for. But I think that pretty much works. I'll lower it again and take off that bit, but we're good now. Fold that up and head down to field 15. Oh, and save. That's a good plan. 18. Okay, we shall head down to field 18. Actually, how do those two fields look? A little bit there missed, but I think is that a little. Yeah, that is a little bit there because I'm looking at that bit there. That's a blotch on my screen that you can't see, but. Yep, we're good there. I can I'll shut off GPS while we run down to the other fields. So how are we doing here? Almost at 50% wear, which again, 124 hours on this tractor. It does wear out a little bit quickly. That was the thing with Realismus, is they don't, their equipment doesn't wear out as quickly as base game. I was surprised. Playblade base game and equipment wears out so quickly, and yet I've got 124 hours on this tractor, and I've probably put a good 15%, and it's worn down 50%. 15 hours on, and it's worn 50%. Very, very, very slow wear. I think for the harvester, our other harvester, we harvested every field once and half the fields again, and it didn't need to be repaired. Technically, you should probably repair them every year, because they're sitting around doing nothing for 9-10 months of the year. But even so, it's not a game critical thing. You can run tractors 150, 200 hours with seasons on, and they're not going to complain too much. It's not going to be a terrible burden overhead. But with Farm Sim 22, your tractor gets to 30, 40 hours, and repair costs are getting big. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. So this guy's doing kind of okay. Actually, he's not doing anything, is he? Excuse me, dude. I'm going to fill up these triangles over here and set you off on another hitch up and down. I honestly hadn't realised he'd stopped doing what I'd asked him to do. Should quite nicely hit all of that, and that patch there. Definitely a lot of engine noise just to make 9 miles an hour up here. Okay, off you go, worker. Hopefully I got that edge just right. Now, there's also patches up at the top that got missed. We won't worry about them too much just right now. You need to be put away. Let's have a look. Yes, see now, GPS, wrong angle. I think it's easy to sort that out though. Um, offset increment, width increment. Go, rotate 90 degrees. And there we go. That's there. Can I shuffle the track over? That's the next question. Width increment. I'm kind of worried that we are right butting up against the edge of the map, but this is a good angle. So I think what we'll do is we'll plant this left-hand edge manually. And then we'll come about at the top. We can engage GPS and we'll have, what, maybe 25% overlay. But then from then onwards we're set up for just no worries. Now those two missed tracks at the top kind of bother me. How are we doing? It is coming up to lunchtime on, well, 11 o'clock. Not quite lunchtime. In game. Real time 10:40. We got loads of time left for now. So if I come around here, straighten up the steering, and then engage guidance steering, and that will put us directly on the next row, and we are good. Looks like the worker actually has managed to negotiate this particular turn. I might need to take over and fill in those gaps there so we can continue with the planting. So what else is there going on? So yeah, New Year's Eve. It'll be New Year's Day tomorrow. We will be streaming tomorrow. It's a Saturday, so that's a usual thing. I'm not sure if we'll make 9 o'clock, but I'll give it a go. Mornings tend to start when Mrs. Osa's overnight pain is at a point where she can't stay in bed anymore. And we will drive through the fake telephone pole. Maybe it's a power pole, I'm not sure. In the UK, most of the time power lines are under the ground. Telephone lines typically also under the ground. Okay, I am probably going to stop this here. And we'll go get this guy. Turn him off. And we will get these few bits here so that I have more of a unimpeded run across the field with the seeder. Lift that back up, get that lined up for a westerly run. Should get that tiny little bit on the left there, and I'm going to say that's sufficient for the worker to go and do its thing going south. So again, there's another little patch at the bottom of the previous row, but don't have to worry about that too much. The engine is still running here, so let's get back on track. And one of the reasons why it I find it handy to keep the GPS lines on. As you can tell, when GPS is engaged, that center line is green, and when it's disengaged, it's white. So it looks like... Actually, we haven't done a headland with this, so potentially I will just come around and do another headland on this one. And turn around. The other thing you can do, I think you can do, let's have a look. Show lines. Maybe not. Previous one had the ability to raise the lines. So if you're trying to drive in a crop, it would, you could raise the lines a few meters, so you could still see the lines superimposed on the ground, but not below the level of the crop. Something that was available in FarmSim 17 GPS. I'm not sure if it's available in 19 or 22 even. I'm just going to drive on this guy's field because I feel like it. Re-engage GPS and drop the seeder. It's probably going to have a nightmare getting over that verge, which isn't exactly flat. But we're good. Looks like Challenger is just about coping with the east edge of the field. Looks like he's missed a bit, but we are going to need to take over when he gets back down to the bottom. If he doesn't, I think he's done, which is frequently a thing. I'll worry about that when we make the turn onto the line where we got no option but to take over for him for a little bit. So there you can see GPS line is white. As soon as I engage it, it turns green. So if you're skipping between vehicles, that's how, that's how you can tell it's still on. I've made the mistake in the past when I haven't had the lines on, turning off the GPS when it was on. Oh look, nice patch of weeds there. At this point, weeds don't really matter because you're going to grind them in with the cultivator, you're going to grind them in with the seeder. But I think with seasons, once the weeds are established, they're established in that patch. So doing this sort of thing is not going to eliminate them. They're just going to come straight back. Okay, I think we are now at a point where I need the kind of stop for a minute. I need that. So what I can do here, I'll run over these bits. Maybe I'll go and get that grass harrow, and we can run a little test on weeds because it's something I haven't done yet. I'm going to try and engage cruise control. I'll just hit GPS there to get myself turned back on the right line, but obviously this tractor does have GPS, but we're really pushing this with a worker. So, okay, GPS is on. The thing is on. lower the cedar and do that thing. So again, we're going to make 2 or 3 rows here before we have to take over from the Challenger again. I'm intrigued. So this is the cultivator, which is 12.2, cedar is 12, operating speed on the cedar is 11, cultivator's 10, and then we have a 12-meter planter as well. So comparable widths on all these pieces of equipment. We're only making 9 miles an hour uphill with the cedar. Downhill we're doing 11, so that's good. We're also making quicker turns, so we are going to catch up quite quickly. Still doing okay with the Phase Hands 2004. Good day, and thank you for the follow. And I hope your New Year's Eve is going well. So one of the reasons I do slow down a lot when I'm pulling the 180 is because turning the steering wheel more than about 20 degrees, 30 degrees will disconnect the GPS. So if I get straightened up and then try and turn on the GPS and the wheel is turned too much, it won't engage. So that's the deal I've got going on here, is obviously when I hit the top of the field, and we're going to have to stop again and get the Challenger over to fill in that gap. Actually, yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'll go this way instead. Since we're so far over, running a headland to the corner is not a big deal. Challenger is now where I need him to be, so I do need to take over here. So yeah, as I was saying, I need to get the wheels straight and then engage the GPS in order to keep things running good. And I just missed a piece at the back there. I just lowered it. I actually meant to turn on the worker, and that looks like a really bad turnaround. Okay, no worries, we've got a lot of stuff to do at the top there, so or a bit to clean up there. We're still good here. Okay, we'll tidy up the top here. Actually, that's quite a leisurely turn at that point. And I'll go down here. Good grief, what a mess I'm making. Okay, that'll do that way. It'll kind of do that way, and then we'll get back on east-west rows again. And we'll drive all over the crop. Just because. Okay, so we drive to there. I can turn it a little bit. Thing, if I'm pointing directly north-south, GPS could engage to go that way, or it could engage to go that way. If I've got it slightly biased in the direction I actually want it to turn, now the tractor will make that turn. Stay online, and the seeder will follow in due course. And we are back on target again. Not sure how long it's going to take the Challenger to just whiff out again and just say, I think I'm done. But I am kind of expecting it. Because this angle on the field, it's kind of levelling off. So possibly not going to be so much of a grief for it, I guess. Okay, straighten that, then engage, and drop close to the edge. I think we just about made that one. And then go, 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 go. Off you go. Keep going. But yeah, as you can see, there are limitations to what the workers are able to do. I could put this on the worker and just manually finish off the cultivator. I might do that. Okay, you can be worker. And I will be you. Oh, you're still in reverse. Okay. Where's my class tractor gone? Oh, put it on a worker and he just steals the tractor.